We have a coaching hire. Sam Cassell is the first official hire for Joe Mazzulla's assistant coaching staff. We're going to get into that. We're going to compare this year to last year, and we're ranking the top 5 games of the regular season. Good times. All of that next on First to the Floor.
Who's going to be first to the floor here? And it was Marcus Smart, as he usually is.
Brown drives. That's not the first time we've seen a superstar in green and white sacrifice the body. Knocked away.
Welcome into another episode of First to the Floor. Ben Vallis here. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Spoonie and Jake are here. Wayne Spoonie, what's going on, sir?
You know, man, I'm just trying to reintegrate into being a normal human being that's not completely obsessed with basketball. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. We're going to start with the emotional check-in here as we welcome Jake Eisenberg back to the show as well.
What up?
How you doing, man?
Yeah, good. I've decided I'm on the comeback trail. I think the late night shows are like, what are you going to focus on? I'm making a comeback trail to be the 35th pick overall in this year's NBA draft. So watch out for that.
We'll keep our eyes closely attached to that situation. Emotionally checking in. Just I'm not gonna overstate or over dramatize the situation, but there is a void I think left in our lives and in our hearts and minds by this lack of Celtics going on, and just like the absence of something to really obsess over and focus on. I've found myself focusing on my job and my family and all these things that I should actually be focusing on. I know, yeah. Terrible stuff. But yeah, very much missing the Celtics. And as the folks start to dribble into our live stream, or if you're listening later on, let us know how you're coping and what you're doing to fill this void in your life. One thing that we do have to fill this void is a little bit of Celtics news, and that is that the Celtics, as I mentioned, hired former 08 champ of the Celtics there, Sam Cassell, as an assistant coach. He had a 15-year NBA playing career. He's actually a 3-time NBA champion. Spoonie, we'll run to you first. Overall thoughts and reactions to this Cassell hire.
I may be misremembering this, but I think he was one of the final 3 when we were interviewing Udoka. I thought it was Cassell, Udoka, and Darvin Ham. So he's been on Brad's radar for a while. Long-term assistant, highly respected player. And we stole him from Philly. My buddy, who is a Sixers fan, immediately texted, and he was like, I'm really sad to see Sam go. I love Sam. I was hoping he'd stick around. Overall, man, this kind of, as much as an assistant coach can be a home run hire, this one really feels like a home run to me. Joe needed an NBA player, like a good NBA player on the staff, and Sam is one of the more entertaining ones. And the big ball dance, like there's a lot of good. He sort of looks like an alien. Lots of good stuff with Sammy.
Look, the last time we hired an ex-Philadelphia 76ers assistant, it went pretty well, right? I find that trolling the Sixers in some way or another typically works out pretty well for us, whether that's trading down in the draft to take Tatum and getting an extra pick, whether it's stealing Ime Udoka, whether it's letting Al Horford go to the Sixers on a max contract as a mole and an informant. It typically goes pretty well when we do something that could have a negative impact on Philly. So I would only expect this to be maybe the best hire of the last 5 years around the coaching merry-go-round.
Little Sam, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think he's on a was credited for the development of Maxey too, which I think is a real big feather in his cap, because Maxey was pretty raw coming out of college, so he knows what he's doing too, which is ideal.
Look, I mean, if you're a team that's considering trading for the 3rd overall pick and Scoot Henderson, that's
great guy.
I'm way too in on that now. But,
or developing PP once we ship off Brogdon elsewhere. Brogdon to the Raptors for OG. Suddenly PP gets boosted in the rotation. Boost one's PP, and we've got Cassell there to really develop him there. Some Sam Cassell trivia for you guys. I mentioned he was a 3-time NBA champ, one of which was won in Boston. Do you know where the other 2 were won?
Houston.
That's right.
Nice. Yeah.
The dream.
He was a rookie, I think, in the first year.
Yeah, but him and I think Mario Ellie were like key parts of the guard rotation there on that team.
Was
So
Kenny
that's
the
pretty
Jet on
exciting.
those teams too?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it goes
Nice.
back quite a ways. And what year was Sam Cassell? I'm clearly just reading his Wikipedia page here. What year did he make the NBA All-Star team? And he was
Ooh,
playing with a former
Mini.
Celtic. Yes.
Mini, right? Yeah.
I don't know, 98, 98.
I'll say
So
03.
It was 04. Pretty close
Oh,
there.
all right.
I think that was like the big bad year for Mini there, and I think it might have been KG's MVP year or close to it, and the year that they made the Western Conference Finals or close to it there. So yeah, a storied career for Sam Cassell, and we're very glad to have him.
Yeah.
Makes God here.
I was just doing my maths in my head. I'm like, was he even in the league yet in 98? Probably just. He was a rookie.
93 was his entry
93.
point.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I wasn't that far
Yeah.
off. But so like I'm starting to feel the effects of not being in my early 20s as I inch towards 30
Welcome.
in less than a month. Right. Yeah. You guys are just indoctrinating me into the decade that begins with a 3. That is my entire life. And Sam Cassell has been either playing in the NBA or coaching in the NBA for that entire time, which is crazy. And I think the whole point of this hire, whether it was Sam Cassell or otherwise, you needed to bring someone in that has all of the experience, and to have 3 decades across player as a star, all-star, role player on a championship team, end of the bench guy, with the '08 Celtics. Obviously, if anytime you can recapture any of the '08 vibes, like, you have to do it. I know that's kind of sprung all of the Rajon Rondo fan fiction across Twitter, which I don't think is realistic in the slightest, even though it could be cool. But it ticks so many boxes. It feels like an absolute no-brainer, and Brad kind of nailed it on that one.
Yeah.
Well, on the Good Word podcast on Ball Don't Lie, Vincent Goodwill and Jake Fisher from Yahoo Sports conveyed that the Bucks assistant Charles Lee is another name on the Celtics radar. He is currently, or was, an assistant coach with the Bucks. He came over there to Milwaukee with Coach Bud from Atlanta. So he's like, apparently, I know nothing about him, I'll just be honest, but from reading a few paragraphs from a few different articles about 5 minutes before doing this pod, seems like a well and truly highly coveted coaching mind across the league there. So Charles Lee, I think, is a name for us to keep our eyes on as we move forward into the depths of the offseason.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, it's hard to say just because like these are the guys that are becoming available, but poaching top assistants on really good teams that have fired their coaches, because those new coaches that are coming in are going to remake those staffs. The difference being on Boston is that we already lost our top guy in Will Hardy, and Joe being another guy, and then Stoudemire also leaving, and then Ben Sullivan leaving. So it's like, okay, Nick Nurse comes into Philly, big rival. They're remaking their stuff. Let's grab, Sam Cassell. Budenholzer out. In goes, is it Adrian Griffin? He's the new coach, yeah. And so he starts to reshuffle. It's like, okay, now you take Kevin Lee, who was like in the mix for a head coaching job in that spot, and you're also taking resources from your rivals. I like this. I don't know if that's Brad's strategy at all, but like, you can definitely talk yourself into being like, oh, I like weakening my opponents while also taking someone like the top coaching talent at the league at the same time. Very good, Brad. I approve. I approve.
Like you, Ben, I had never heard of him until I saw that tweet from Jake Fisher that Charles Lee. But from what I could like glean really quickly, was that he seems like one of those kind of like mastermindy type guys. So he makes a lot of sense to me as like a compliment to Sam Cassell, who is sort of like the player's coach, like sort of the more motivational, emotional leader type guy. And then if you have kind of the more X's and O's guy behind Joe, you're starting to put together a really supportive staff for Joe Mazzulla, which is, I think we all agree, extremely necessary.
Yeah. Is Charles Lee going to be the guy that fixes the crunch time offense?
Yeah.
That's going to be That's
If
going to be
Brad
levels.
couldn't, I
Yeah,
don't know if
I don't
anybody
know,
can.
right?
Yeah.
I like the sound of a mastermindy guy, though. You can never have
Yeah,
too
I
many
like that.
masterminds on board. We should get to this question here from Aussie Phil. I know we brought it up on screen a couple of times. Aussie Phil in the chat asks, so the big question is, when the core starts doing the same old shit again, who do we blame next? Is it Sam? Is it Joe, the hot dog vendor? Maybe you blame us because we complain too much. I think let's just leave that rhetorical for now, but it is something that's going to be on the minds on the minds of all Celtics fans throughout the course of the season and probably Tatum's career. Spoonie, you're going to take us through the fun rankings, so let us know how this is going to work.
Okay, so I wrote something during the playoffs called the crippling weight of actually, I can't even remember. It was the crippling weight of great expectations, right? And basically it was when we went down 0-2 to the Heat, and I was like, man, I am like the downest on the Celtics I have ever been in my entire life. And, I lived through I remember the 0-2 playoffs when we lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Nets. And I mean, I remember a lot of very, very bad and terrible years. And this was like the nadir. This was like the low point of my Celtics fandom.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the Eastern Conference Finals. There's many franchises, like we just brought up Minnesota. They've been to the Western Conference Finals one time. It was that year with Sam Cassell and Kevin Garnett. This is objectively, for the expectations, a failure. But it's also subjectively for other franchises would be a pretty damn good year getting to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's how do you have what is somewhere in between a massive failure and a pretty big success, and you feel this crappy about it? Which brings me to last year, where similar result really felt a lot different from an enjoyment perspective. Yeah, Jordan says suffering from our own success. Yeah, that is really, it's Jason Tatum's fault. He's too good. So it's where do you guys am I being overly dramatic about how not fun this year was? And am I sort of got the rose tinted goggles on for last year, that thinking that it was way more fun? And over the last few seasons, why did I have more fun in 2021 when we sucked and lost in the first round as compared to this year? It doesn't make any sense. So do you guys feel the same way?
And you can go first.
So our buddy Joe, our New Zealand correspondent, our feet on the ground there in New Zealand for all things Celtics, he has a saying, I don't know if he coined it originally, that, what is it? Disappointment equals expectations minus reality, which is essentially what we're all suffering from here. That our expectations coming off a finals run, we made it that far. We were 2 games away from winning a championship. Of course, all our core are young. They're going to come back bigger, faster, stronger, etc., and we're going to win a title. And then to see that sort of slowly unravel after the 21-5 start, where suddenly it was the Heat, the first team that discombobulated us. Then it was the Warriors in Golden State there, and things started to slowly unravel. And it was that cascading sort of brutal suffering, slow descent into oh no, it's not going to happen. And then it eventually just totally not happening. I agree with you that it's uniquely disappointing given how high the expectations were going in. There's that saying, all's well that ends well. I don't know what the opposite of that is, all's bad that ends poorly. That's what happened. It ended poorly. And you could sort of now in hindsight looking back, you could kind of see it coming a little ways off. And then to finally be struck by that, I think was just the ultimate disappointment. So I'm with you there, Spoonie.
We're silly humans with smooth brains, I think.
Exactly.
Right? The microcosm of this is you're down 28 and then you come back and you lose by 3. And then in the post game, people are at least they showed fight. At least they did da-da-da-da-da. That Pacers game from, was it this year, where they played so bad and then was an incredible second half, but they still lost. But if they would have just lost by 4 to the Pacers and not had gone down 30, we would have reacted being that's a really bad loss, shouldn't have happened, etc. But because of the way that it happens, we change the way that we feel about it, which is, I don't know, either fair and it makes sense to take the context into consideration, or we're just like letting the emotion of these things kind of really take us for a ride. Like you go back to last year, and this is like great philosophy in life. Like keep those expectations low. Start a new job, even if you think you know what you're doing. Just keep pretending like you don't for an extra few months, because then you keep those expectations low, and then you take off. Like the Celtics in the first half of last year, it was really bad. Like I don't think people realize like how bad it was. Like we were like 4 games below 500. We were an 11th seed, dude. It was a disaster. Like I was like, oh well, you know, maybe we just I would be good if, you know, we kind of got together a little bit. You know, we got a Neesmith and Romeo good run, and we get like the 14th pick. We use that to trade for someone. It's like it was dire. And so we have this run in the second half where it's like, oh my God, this defense has come out of nowhere. Rob Williams looks like an alien. And then even going into the Bucks series, like we beat the Nets, right? That kind of felt like a win. And Middleton gets injured. And then you're like, oh man, we can actually beat the Bucks. And then all we have to do is beat whoever comes out of the Heat series and we go to the finals. Like before that, making the finals wasn't really like, it was like we're playing well enough. The metrics say we're good enough to get to the finals, but we still have to get through the Bucks. Probably not going to happen. Then Middleton gets injured, and all of a sudden we're in the finals with a chance to win. And then coming into this season, you're like, well, there's no reason that we can't win the title. But then we objectively were a better team this year. More wins. Peyton was better. Derek White was better. All these things were actually better, but because the expectations crush you, like every loss just feels so much worse.
Yeah, and as if the disappointment or the expectations rather weren't high enough coming off that finals run to start the way they did this season, 21-5, just an incredible start where it was like, there's no way this team is losing like a playoff game, let alone a series, let alone the finals.
The complete opposite of last year.
The fall from grace from that like peak. Like I mentioned, it was just slow and brutal and caused a lot of suffering in our little world here. But then like looking back to like prior seasons and the expectations or lack thereof going into them and just how fun they were, I think obviously more recently of the Isaiah Thomas years.
Best year of my life.
Yeah, like was it 2016, 2017? Like that was just such an amazing season with the King of the Fourth narrative, and then, you know, the very sad news of Isaiah Thomas's sister passing away before the playoffs, and just that narrative sort of feeding into really the whole fan base and the team and everyone associated with the Celtics, like getting behind Isaiah Thomas, getting behind the team. And just the way that there's so much emotion based off of that sort of was poured into that playoff run, especially that first series against the Bulls there. That was incredible, but you never at any point thought to yourself, like, they're going to win the title. Right. Even when we finished with the first seed, you were like, and our defense was number one, you're like, we're not going to win the title because like our best player is 5'7". Like it just can't happen, but it doesn't matter because we just love rooting for them. And those are the years where like they go down, you know, in 4 games against the Cavs or whatever it is, and the whole crowd is chanting, let's go Celtics, as they lose in a sweep or a gentleman's sweep, just because, first of all, those expectations were never that high. We never thought they'd even get to that point. And that born out of that is so much love for the team, and there's never any sense of disappointment because you never thought they were going to get anywhere anyway. I remember watching, was it game 3 against the Cavs? Might have been the year before that, where actually I think it was that year, and Isaiah Thomas went out injured, and Marcus Smart had a really good game in Cleveland where we
won that game. That was the one they won. He hit like 8 threes or something.
Yeah,
like that.
7 for 9 for 3, dude. Classic Marcus, dude.
I was watching that game in the back of a taxi in Mexico, and it was as Avery Bradley hit the 3 that like bounced up on the rim.
Oh
and,
yeah,
because it hung up top on the rim for so long that like meant there wasn't enough time for the Cavs to get a shot off on the other end, and they won the game. It was incredible. I was so excited in the back of that taxi, and I've never felt that kind of excitement really throughout this season at all in hindsight. Yeah.
Honestly, the year after that too.
I was just gonna say that, dude. That year was awesome too.
Well, it was like it was both horrifying because literally 5 minutes into the season, hey, I don't even want to go down this tangent, but man, that is like maybe the biggest sliding doors moment like ever. Like every time I see it, like someone posted like Utah Gordon Hayward highlights on the timeline, and I was like, he's literally the perfect player to put with the Jays. It's crazy. Anyway, so you go from a disaster on night one, and then you win like 16 in a row, I think it was, right? Like with the Kyrie team and
The
then
SMID run.
yeah,
Yeah.
SYD man, like their screw Thanksgiving
Yeah,
Celtics,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's like, oh my god, who is Tatum? What is Tatum? Like Jaylen Brown's here, and then obviously they go through the Bucks and through the Sixers and to Game 7 like that. The no expectations thing is so much fun, so much fun.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Would you go back specifically to the IT sort of type of team where it's like, they're good, they're not good enough, but it's going to be more fun than what we just witnessed?
Well, are we kind of inadvertently already heading back in that direction with the constraints presented by the new CBA, the fact that this year ended disappointingly, the fact that we might move on from Brogdon, like expectations
Ben's in a bad place. Ben's in a bad place.
Ben, hold on.
But wait, like expectations are being dialed down a little bit, right? Like now we're at least like, I don't know if I can expect a return to the finals, let alone a championship. So like we are dialing down expectations, and therefore like there's a more of a cushion protecting us from the same level of disappointment that we suffered from this year, I think.
Well, okay, so I'm not ready to go there yet because the CBA, it's going to get ugly when we sign Jaylen to the Supermax. But we have at least one more year. If they want to keep this team intact for basketball reasons, they can. It's not really going to be any more expensive this year. So, I mean, so if we go into next season with this exact same team, I would expect we're going to be the favorites or one of the 2 or 3 favorites to win.
I just looked it up, and like the Action Network has, FanDuel has odds for the 2024 championship, and the Celtics are the favorites at plus 500 with the Nuggets being plus 550. So
don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that.
So you dodged this question, Ben. Would you go back? Is that what we want as fans? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it's a hard question, I think.
I think it's like it's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all.
Yes.
Like you want to be in with a chance to win the title.
Yep.
And we've had those years of like, this is fun, this young, plucky team. Like, and because with that, there's undertones of like, this is really fun because of what the future might hold.
Yes.
And now we're just kind of living that
Correct.
future. That future is our present. So
like the Thunder this year, Thunder fans just had the time of their life, but it's like,
they won 40 games.
Yeah, Chet Holmgren's coming back. Josh Giddey's 20, yada, yada, yada. It's like the IT experience would not have been as fun 2 years later, where like, no way.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the only way that we could go back is by like, I can't believe I'm going to say these words, but like trading Tatum and like fully going back into that life. Yeah, exactly. For like multiple number 1 picks or something,
Well, yeah, that and like Tatum is honestly the reason why it can't go back. Like he was a top 5 player in the playoffs, top 5 player in the league. Like you just have this guy now. So he's literally too good at this point to not be like in the mix every year if you've put like a solid team around him.
Agreed.
Which is awesome.
We almost had the perfect segue there. We brought up FanDuel second. Before we move on to the top 5 games of the regular season, we're going to keep the optimism train a rumbling here. Spoonie, I think you've got an ad read for us.
I do. Make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs because right now new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. I love FanDuel. Great promotions every day. I might jump in on those odds for next season and grow my expectations even more. It's safe and secure. You get paid instantly, unlike some of those other apps. There's no better place to bet all playoff action than America's #1 sports book. Visit FanDuel.com/Boston and get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's FanDuel.com/Boston. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued on non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888 789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana, gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Mass. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369 in New York, or 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming, or visit 1-800-gambler.net in my home state of West Virginia. Jake, what do you got for us?
Woo!
All right, we got the 19. What a legend.
What a gun.
I need some water.
So same game parlay for game 3 of the NBA Finals that I'm watching with so much pain every minute of every bounce. Nikola Jokic to score 25 plus, Bam Adebayo to score 20 plus, and Jimmy Butler to record 6 plus assists. The game plan for the Nuggets has basically been to let Bam eat. Jokic just 25 plus is money in the bank. And then Jimmy Butler is like a facilitator now. He just is not looking to score still. So I wanted to add under on Caleb Martin points because his deal with the Devil apparently only extended until the end of the conference finals. But he's been so bad that his points aren't even on FanDuel anymore.
He's like barely playing.
It's just so that parlay, Jokic 25 plus, Bam 20 plus, and Jimmy 6 plus assists is plus 240. Bet 50 to win 120. So don't mind that one. But the whole Caleb Martin thing is just like so obvious, of course.
Predictable. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Jesus.
It's very painful to watch. All right. Well, we thought we'd try and bring some light back into the lives of Celtics fans. And a good place to start would be ranking the top 5 games of the regular season. And you might be thinking, well, why not the playoffs? And to that, I say the playoffs are just a little bit too painful still. So maybe we'll try that in July. Who knows? So Spoonie, Jake, I prepared a list along with some game footage of my rankings for the top 5 games of the regular season. I'll also say that this list is actually the top 8 games because there's just too many bangers to choose from. So we're going to run through these one at a time, talk briefly about each one. And if you can just let me know, I guess, your thoughts on my rankings and what your rankings might be at the end. And of course, I want to hear your honorable mentions. If you're watching this live or catching it later, let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. And without any further ado, as I scramble and try and find my footage here, let's start with number 8, the 8th spot, opening night versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The Celtics win 126 to 117. The Jays combined for 70. Brogdon shines in his debut. Let's get some footage.
Efficiency last year. Memphis, Phoenix, and Utah, the other 3 teams in that category. Tatum with a corner
for Joel Embiid.
Smart takes it away from Embiid. 3-on-1. Tatum all the way to the rack. Conley clears. The bounce. Brogdon, the penetration with the left hand. Reese Maxey. Brogdon slips to the rim.
He tries to get it off quick and he takes a tough shot.
Strip to the ball. Break opportunity. Tatum takes it in for Figures. Tatum, fancy ball handling. He hits! Jason Tatum is in the zone. Now it's Tatum. Fires. Oh, he's lethal. Jaylen Brown, open look. That's a 3.
Well, now they've both got 35. An incredible opening night performance.
Tear to my eye. Brings
Jake,
a tear to my eye.
What are your thoughts on the 8th ranked game of the regular season?
That was awesome because that was game 1. We had the stream going. We all we had the day off work. We did the podcast afterwards. It was like, what are we gonna get? We're gonna get the revenge Celtics. We had the 2-way superstar Tatum. He blocked Maxey into the crowd as well. But my favorite highlight there was shot clock running down and 3 Philly defenders just right in his face, and it's just deep 2 pull up splash.
We
love beating the Sixers.
Yes, so much.
And like, yeah, it's great.
Spoonie.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, we're winning the title after that game.
Yes.
That was such a, and that game was like close for most of it. And then I think in the late third quarter, they just completely pulled away, dominated them in the fourth quarter. Both the Jays looked absolutely incredible. The threes were going. I think Brogdon had a pretty nice debut. He didn't score a ton, but he was like heady and efficient. And we were just like, this is the perfect addition to the team.
Yeah, 16 points on 7 for 11 shooting for Brogdon in his debut and 4 assists. And Grant Williams, 5 of 5 shooting, 3 of 3 from 3. And this is after we did the pod with his dad, Gil, talking about all of his off-season workouts and how he was just like drilling threes from half court in Europe somewhere. And then the underrated thing that from watching the highlights and reading the game recap, underrated Noah Vonleh defensive impact on Joel Embiid in that game, where we're like, yes, Brad Stevens, amazing signing Noah Vonleh, like a diamond in the rough. Good times. That's number 8. Let's move on to number 7. Jason Tatum drops 51 points on the Hornets in January.
This is the wrong call right here. Look at Tatum, and there's a fast crossover as he goes up. White along the baseline, nice little turnaround. He's just right now. Tatum finds a better spot. Knocks down a 3. Oh my goodness.
Sounds like an empty gym compared to that Sixers game.
It was like one of those games that was like, we shouldn't have had to get 50.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Maybe a red flag early we should have noticed.
He's getting tired of putting that hand up and kissing the crowd there.
Ridiculous.
On their feet, Celtic fans everywhere. Tatum got it.
Classic Gorman call there.
Got it.
51 points, 15 of 23 from the field, 14 of 14 from the line. This is like where we're like right into our like Tatum. He's like figured something out in the offseason with all the training and the conditioning and the strengthening, and he's like getting to the line at will. Also had 5 assists, 9 boards, and 7 threes. This is my number 7 ranked game just because I think Jaylen Brown was out on this one, and it was just your classic like January. Tatum is like right there in the MVP conversation. We're having an incredible month, an incredible season thus far. And looking back, it was just like not peak, feel good, but it's up there. So Spoonie, what are your thoughts on number 7 here?
Yeah, it was, I think you kind of hit it like probably Tatum shouldn't have had to have 51 against them. But like, there's lazy January games against the Hornets. And sometimes your superstar just needs to go get you a win. And he did. And like, he showed it all, as I recall, in that game. Like nobody could stay in front of him the entire night. He had the 3 going. He was moving the ball perfectly. Maybe one of his most complete games he's ever played. I think that was before the Sixers traded for McDaniels. And I remember when they traded for McDaniels, I was like, am I taking crazy pills? Like Tatum just absolutely shook this dude out of his shorts for 51, like a month ago. What are we doing here? He's not his brother. So that was just a really fun game.
Yes, this game as well. When the Sixers made that trade, I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about this at all. This is great news. So yeah, I wonder going forward. It's like every time the Celtics don't just win by 15 or 20 against an opponent, we're going to be like, oh, they still have that stuff inside them. But it's like, this happens to everyone. It's going to be so hard to like pass through. Like, this is not a championship habit. This is just like a normal thing that happens to everybody. But anytime Tatum can score 50, I feel like the Hornets are just prime pickings for the Celtics. Like some of their best games. Like, was it the year prior? It was like maybe the beginning of their 7-game winning streak. I know like Tatum had like a lob to JB who dunks all over Miles Bridges, and Tatum just like screaming in his face. So,
yes.
Good times.
I think Tatum had 50 in that game as well.
yeah. And this one, like with Jaylen out, it was just one of the more like one of those heliocentric Tatum games, which are always like, obviously that's not like a survivable approach to the season, but like in the vacuum of one game to watch Tatum just like kind of do his own version of Luka every now and then is a lot of fun as well. Let's move on to number 6. which is the Celtics ending the Kyrie Irving era for the Brooklyn Nets.
Tatum, crossover, drive, reverse, bank shot is good. Brown, a three-pointer, got it.
He's really excited for the opportunity. Smart said, given everything he's been through this season, stepping into a situation.
They've just got to stay the course, Mike. He created a good shot for a teammate, missed corner three, as another one falls for the Celtics.
Brown pulls up three. Bang! Unbelievable! 7 for 7 from downtown. Brown, a little jab step. Now long three-pointer. Jaylen Brown. Tatum a three-pointer. That's good. Jason Tatum, his 5th three-pointer.
Kyrie, you suck! Right at the end there. Remember that? Jesus, like good times were had this year. Final score 139-96. Tatum 31 points, 9 boards, 4 assists. The Jays had 7 threes each in this game. Jalen with 26 points, and Kyrie Irving a game worst minus 31 in this one. Jake, what do you remember most, other than what I've already covered, from this ending of the Kyrie Irving era in the Nets there?
Did they win by too much? Because I miss this Brooklyn team. It's like the perfect playoff matchup for us in that, like, they've got a fun little offense, but they just have absolutely no shot at stopping us at any point and don't really have any interest in doing it. And the media and the narrative always gets pumped up for KD and Kyrie versus the Celtics. But the reality is, like, we just owned them for the entirety of that run. So I really miss them. But that game was like, that was a hyped up game. We were like, here we go. Nets on a run. They were like one of the best teams in the league there for a stretch. And they came in and the Celtics were up by 40. That was a good time. Really.
I remember maniacally laughing during that first quarter because it felt like every shot we took went in and they could not buy a bucket. It's what is bizarre is the non-Kyrie, non-KD Nets. We did the same thing to them in the first half after the trade deadline had lost. So it's just basketball is so weird, man, sometimes. But that was anytime you beat Kyrie in the Garden, it just is going to be one of the most fun games of the year because, man, do I hate that guy.
Yeah, and it felt like just the final chapter in that story, right? The whole Kyrie thing, him bailing to the Nets, and then just like one last hurrah, coming to the Garden, everyone's booing you, telling you suck. Oh, and the Celtics blow you out by like 50 points as well. Also, this thing happened in this game.
And now he's embraced his role as a player. Did it with the Brooklyn Nets, and now doing it with the Celtics. Oh! One of the ball boys was on the court when that fast break started, trying to clean up a wet spot on the floor, and he got caught. And the Celtic players love it.
The Celtics on the end of the bench are absolutely dying.
Look at this guy run.
Love that.
From 0 to 60 in 78 seconds.
So
the vibes were immaculate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that was going to be a forgotten Blake dunk. I didn't remember.
Oh, no. We've cataloged all of the Blake dunks. Don't worry, Spoony. We know them all very well. How you guys doing so far? We'll just pause before we start with number 5 here. Is this making you feel good or like sad to reminisce on the season that wasn't? Or
this making me feel good. This making me feel good and excited for next season.
Yeah. Man, I just want to watch basketball again and not have like that bitter taste in my mouth.
Yes, please. Well, Summer
League. This was not supposed to be the way that it happened. Why and how are the Heat?
We're spiraling. We're spiraling.
Why? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
All right. Well, speaking of the Heat, number 5, Jason Tatum drops 49 on the Miami Heat in front of the part of the royal family.
They'll play a 2-3, I'm told. They'll play a little 2-1-2. You name it, they'll try it in the zone.
Oh, yeah. Great, too.
There.
Look how flawlessly they attack this Heat mode.
Answers that. 3-game win streaks again.
They just don't have an identity.
Nobody was driving.
What are we witnessing here?
Figuring Tatum finds some room in the baseline and gets 2. Tatum, a pull-up 3. Yes! The Bible couldn't finish. Tatum for 2. He was going to get that no matter what. Dribble alive. Hauser out to the fence. Tatum steals the pass. Tatum now is going to take it right to who's ever there. And he gets 2.
What a finish! Are you kidding me?
That's 41 on the night. We got a quarter still to play.
I'm going to say it, and this is more just sort of where my mental health is at right now, is that I miss Brian Scalabrine. Don't you guys feel the same way? Just like his like overcharged reactions to the good and the bad of the Celtics, like that, him reacting to that final Tatum play there just kind of reminded me of that and how much I already miss him. Yeah,
well, look, on the tweet deck if you're watching on YouTube, Celtics blog, I'm ready for next season. Like I feel like we've kind of the stages of grief where we're moving through them. We're ready for another season. Watching the Heat though is triggering.
Yes,
like that was an awesome Tatum game, but Jimmy Butler didn't even play in that game, and they ended up having to go to like down to the wire, and Tatum needed 49 to maybe another sign. But like one of the great moments from that game was you pan to Prince, what's his name, Harry
William. I think it's William.
Prince William,
right.
Prince Willie.
Yeah,
and he's just like, oh yes, he's very good.
Totally good.
Totally good. I'm like, yeah, he's not bad, this Tatum guy.
Yeah, it's insane to see somebody pump fake and drive a closeout and make a pass out of that. Wow, we really could use that about a week ago, Al. I guess they weren't biting on his pump fake, so I guess stuff to do there. But what could have been. But yeah, super fun Tatum game, man. He was on a different level defensively. I recall that, like that steal that was in that highlight package there, but he was absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, totally. That one was probably the most painful to watch and like cut footage for, just given like there were so many instances of the Celtics just like slicing up the zone like flawlessly with no issue at all. Let's move on to number 4. Monkey off the back. The Celtics beat the Warriors in overtime at TD Garden.
Of the fourth quarter.
Tatum it looked like he was hoping for a foul. Here's Brown, 3-pointer is good! A big one for Jaylen Brown, tied at 106.
And careless, it leads to a turnover.
Brown kicks it to Al Horford, and the 3 is gone! Oh, what a pass, pulled, denied! Brogdon with a block. Tatum to Smart. Poole late to get back into the play. It's 5-on-4. Finally back in it. And he gets the pick. Brown recovers. Plenty of time here. Tatum gets it with 8 to shoot. Now he lets it fly. And another one is down. Jason Tatum. 2-possession game. They lead by 6. Key possession here. Tatum with Wiggins on him, spins quick, and a foul.
Very deliberate.
I was watching your faces as I was playing that clip and being like, am I doing the right thing? Like, is this too soon?
That one hurt the most so far because the late game offense was good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, deliberate actions.
Where was that pull-up 3 that went in, Jaylen? Like, just late shot clock pull-up 3. He did have that spin and fumble, which was classic. But yeah, the Marcus screens, I find him in the middle. Help comes over, kicks it to Al in the corner, makes a 3. Just like really good execution down the stretch, poised against a really good defensive team.
Tatum in the high post, running an off-ball action with Smart and Jaylen, and then Tatum rejects it and just goes to the rim once he realizes Wiggins isn't tapped in. Like, what happened? What happened?
The Brogdon like chase down block on Klay Thompson there. Defensive Brogdon having an impact defensively. Like, can you believe there was a time where that was a thing? Apparently it was. I had completely forgotten. All right, let's move on. Number 3, ho ho ho, Christmas Day. Celtics beat the Bucks.
Aggressive offensively of late with the game's first field goal. Horford has been shooting well north of 45% from deep on the season. Knocks down the first one. Brown pulls the deep 3 and laces it.
I think because Jason Tatum has had an MVP-type season, it's gone overlooked how incredible he has been. But what a shooting star for both clubs.
Quickly the hit ahead to Brown. Lost his balance. Kicked it back out to White. And White puts it home, but it goes to Tatum. Tatum with the deep jumper. Butter. Brown. Hauser on the move. Lets it go in time. Got it! Merry Christmas!
He is making progress.
Tatum. Good ball fake. One more. Tatum. Oh, he caught one! Punched it on Giannis.
You were playbacking during that game, right? This is another one that I was watching in the back of the car.
I think we potted afterwards. I remember like Christmas wise, we did a pod afterwards in my grandparents' house. This was maybe the best moment of the year. I don't know. It's definitely up there. Like, because we were on this trajectory, us and the Bucks all year long, fighting for the 1 seed. Clearly, quotation marks, the two best teams in the league. And we just, every time we played them, we owned them. Even the game where we didn't have any of our players, right? And this game, like I forgot about the Tatum hammer on Giannis.
Signature dunk.
Yeah. It was fantastic. This was peak vibes. Christmas time, family vibes, Celtics owning Giannis. Merry Christmas.
Dude, it was indicative of the offense they were playing in the first half. Like the Tatum pump fake, step back, kick to Smart in the corner, hard cut for the give and go for the dunk on Giannis. Like that is just such beautiful, simple offense that I feel like you can get to whenever you want. And I'm not trying to. I feel like I just every time I'm like, what happened?
Yeah. Well, no, it's because I actually think it's validating for why we were high on the Celtics, and it's like they were doing the things that they needed to do in the whole playoffs that went away at various times, especially the Miami series. So it's like it's there. It's definitely there. It's definitely in there. Like they can unlock this crunch time poise. Like it's in there. For sure.
Am I crazy to think that it's therefore easy for them to solve their problems going into next season, where there's a clear delineation? Let's look at film from our offense in the first half of the season versus the second half of the season and the playoffs. Play this way, not that way. You know how to do it. There's heaps of sample size. Just do that. Obviously that's a simple brain take, but it kind of is as simple as that. Am I wrong?
Well, I wonder if Joe got a little tight. But Joe definitely got tight in the playoffs. I don't wonder. He did. And I feel like if you have a different, and I think Joe will be much improved in his second season, but when it's a regular season game and you have that huge cushion when you start 21-5, it's just play free. Let's just run stuff. Joe's probably hey, run the horn set, run that, and in the playoffs, it was they're in a zone. Don't turn it over. It seems like they kind of embodied what I imagine Joe was kind of like, which was tight, unwilling to take risks. And that you just cannot play that way, man.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. Number 2, Tatum hits the late dagger. See you later, Sixers.
Inbound to Smart. Bounce past Tatum. Tatum puts up a 3. Bang! Jason Tatum from downtown. 1.3 remaining. No timeouts left for Philadelphia. Oh! No, they say no good. Came after the buzzer, and the Celtics win a thriller. They'll have to check it. And B,
we will review this last second shot after rule. The ruling on the floor was no basket.
Absolutely still in his hands.
So, Spoonie, you were at this game, so I'm just going to throw to you. You're the expert on this.
This is obviously my number one of the year. Just an insane game of runs. I remember Philly would go up 10. We'd come storming back. Then they'd go back up 10. Then we came storming back. Another pretty damn good crunch time performance from this team as well. I kind of forgot, they were way better in crunch time.
They were
this year.
Second in the league.
Yeah, than last year. And if you're a new fan, if you caught us if you've joined from the guys doing the Celtics late night show, or you just have found us recently, I wrote about my experience to hell and back, my trip to Philadelphia on Celtics blog. So I won't rehash it all here. Go read that. I lay it all out. I got pelted with an egg. The fans were hilarious after the game, so go check that out. But this is easily my number one just from being in the building.
Yeah, and Tatum struggled for most of that night. It was more of a Jalen game. He had 26 points in this one. Derek White gave us 18 off the bench on crazy efficient 7 of 9 shooting. Jake, any parting thoughts on this game before we turn that page for good?
This was the moment I knew that the Philly would never beat us. I was like, if they just can't win any of these games, like the terrible Tatum game and hits a game winner, the game that we won with no Rob and no Horford, obviously opening night where both teams are healthy. I'm like, and then the only game they did win was like, I think Jalen didn't play and Embiid had 50 and the Celtics just didn't play any of their defense. So I was like, this Tatum shot would really make me feel hang around as much as you want at Philly Embiid. It's never going to be a problem for us. It got a little hairy there in the second round, but never really a doubt.
Never a doubt. That's right. All right. Number one, the highlight clip is a little longer on this one, justifiably. Number one, LeBron has an on-court tantrum while the Celtics go on to beat the Lakers in overtime in TD.
James back to Davis, turns, shoots, shot won't go. Grant Williams, good tough rebound in traffic. Celtics trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Brogdon to Jaylen Brown. Crossover, drive, stop, layup, banks it home. Boston at one. Horford stops, falling away. It's in and out. Rebound Davis, stripped but fouled.
After review, successful challenge, jump ball, center circle.
James, there's a double team. To Beverly. Beverly, a three-pointer. It's good. Patrick Beverly. And knocked it home. Brogdon to drive, the floater.
That's a bullshit shot.
The paint, throws it in the corner. Three-pointer. Won't go. Oh, put in by Beverly. They need the three. Tatum, Horford, three-pointer. Top of the backboard. Brown inside, banks it in. And a foul is called.
Late foul call.
And Jalen clutch at the line. You don't see that every day.
Free throw right there from Brown. James comes up top, gets it. James on the drive, gets in the paint, layup, missed it. And the game is over. Lakers furious. They thought he was fouled.
Yes.
With a technical free throw, Patrick Beverly called for a technical foul. Period. Shooting foul on the fourth. Jaylen Brown drives in, count it, and one.
Regardless of who it's been all night long.
And James drives, count it, and one. 24. Schroeder comes up. Brown struggling with a dribble, makes his move, pull-up jumper, puts it in. 35 for Jaylen Brown. It's a 5-point lead. Celtics win a thrilling game.
The handle from Jalen there, the poise, not turning it over under duress. And then so those free throws you mentioned, Spoonie, that was one game after missing a pair of free throws with 8 seconds left in a one-point game against the Knicks. And then Jaylen Brown has his opportunity to redeem himself literally like immediately and does. So good. And we beat the Lakers. This is my top one game of the year.
It's so fun watching LeBron weep and cry.
That was
like
the
that.
best.
There's nothing better.
I was just like, I have a couple of friends coming down from City for my 30th in a couple of weeks, and one of them's a big Lakers fan. And I got a message from my other friend who's a Celtics fan. They were hanging out, and they're like, Cam reckons that the Lakers would have beat the Celtics in the playoffs, and they were the second best team. And I was like, I'm really looking forward to having this like Celtics Lakers debate. And I just had the idea that I'm going to like queue up, maybe clip together the LeBron crying clip and just like have that just kind of playing randomly while he's staying with me, because it's
projector on the wall.
Just like maybe like get a little digital screen. I'll just leave that next to his bed, just like on rotation. Can't change the password on the iPad. It's just gonna be rolling. Like there's nothing better than watching LeBron and the Lakers cry, no matter how unfair. Do not care that it was a foul. The Patrick Beverly technical should have been enforced in regulation.
Yes, thank you.
Patrick Beverly should not have been able to hit that three or get that tip in, which is just absurd that he went on his personal 5-0 run to get that thing to overtime to begin with.
This
But yeah.
was also the game with the Pat Bev camera meme.
Yeah.
So perhaps with your Lakers friend, you could recreate
Yeah.
that. If you could get the LeBron tantrum on a DSLR camera and walk up to him and show it to him. Now we're really talking.
Yeah, now we're talking.
LeBron traveled.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you try exactly. Always.
So that's number one. First of all, like, feel free to like completely shoot down my rankings and my own judgment as to which games belonged in those spots. And then I'd love to hear from both of you your honorable mentions, what should have been included in this list or what was close to being included in this list.
Yeah, do you want to go, Spoonie?
I was going to say, so this is probably the game that I thought, like, wow, this team is something special. And then they immediately followed it up by getting whooped by Golden State and the Clippers.
Yeah.
But when we went into Phoenix, absolutely obliterated the Suns, 125-98. The Suns, I think, were pretty hot at the time. And Blake Griffin started 9-9 and a game high plus 32. Both the Jays had 25 and just a complete laugher. People were dancing. Everybody was having fun. And then it kind of started to fall apart.
Yes, it unraveled literally the next game when me and Ben hung out in a pub watching the Celtics Warriors game. Now, mine's similar to that in that it's not necessarily, if I had to narrow it down to a single game, that stretch, it was we played the Nets in Brooklyn, and then we had a back-to-back where we flew to Toronto, and then we played Phoenix after that. That was like this 3-game stretch where it was like, okay, Nets are playing awesome right now. Tatum has like 20. It's like he had that 9 turnover game, but he ended up having like 29, 12, and 5. Jalen was great. They fly to Toronto on the back-to-back, and they just like have this gritty performance. I think I had I've got the box score here. Tatum had like 31, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block, plus 9. It was like a classic Marcus game, 18 points, 7 assists, 2 steals. Everybody was really good. That was like the grittiest. I loved that game. Like everybody in the second half. Derek White was just like a defensive masterclass. And then Phoenix is like the 1 seed in the West. And then we go in and just murder them. Not to mention we had this moment in the Toronto game.
Picked up the foul. Have faith and have patience. Yeah, no doubt. Smart picked up the foul there. Siakam went 1 and 2 from the line and a slam dunk and a foul.
Yeah, BG.
Noah Vonleh on the bench.
I love it. Can we just do this other one while we're here? My finger's on the plate. Let's just
He gets one from White. Now he gives it to White. Throws to Blake Griffin throws it down.
Throw it up.
I'll never apologize for running that.
This is. I love the Hornets.
Yeah, right.
It was so much fun. Every awesome highlight is against the Hornets. So good.
All right. Any other honorable mentions? Any other feedback at all? No? Okay. Folks listening later. What?
I just like how you just like, no, okay, cool. Because like me and Spoonie both, like, I know it's too close, but Tatum game 7 against Philly is like maybe
we can talk about
it.
He was good.
He was really good.
Quite good. Quite good at a game 7.
Unreal. I think I just keep going back to Tatum. That's kind of been like my safety blanket, my thing that I hold dearly each day as I get up when I think about the Celtics and the future. Is that Tatum is going to end up having another underrated playoff run, but he was like wire to wire, the impact both ends. Like literally after Jokic, Steph, and Giannis, and like Giannis didn't even play in this postseason. Like Tatum was probably the 3rd best player in the playoffs this year. So that's pretty good.
We'll be back, baby. Yeah. We'll be back. I'm in. We're winning the title next year. Let's go.
Even better next year.
Yes. All right. Great. Let's wrap it up there. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with another pod early next week. In the meantime, leave us a rating, a review, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments, whether about this pod or questions for next week. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.